We are back. Now we're going to turn this drawing into a detailed, descriptive, shaded drawing. I'm going to start first with Clementine. Clementine has some green, and I'm going to make that green a little dark because that describes that there's a darker area on it that is an orange. The bottom of the orange, the bottom of the Clementine, very dark because there's no light that's hitting it. And it's kind of flattened. And I notice that there's a lot of shadow right in here. I'm going to add some shadow. I'm going to go with the contour of the Clementine, which is like a big circle. And I notice that there's some shadow right in here. I guess that's from the apple. And when it goes out. Actually, sits a little flatter like that. Now I'm going to be light with my shading. See how light I am? I'm not really touching it very much because I want to give a little bit of tone. I want to show that this isn't white. And it's the different tones and the contrast that's going to make it an interesting drawing, because otherwise, if it's all the same tone, it's kind of boring. You can't really see what's going on. And the only way you can let the viewer know what's going on is by describing it visually. So now here's my one side I'm going to make dark. The other side I'm going to leave light, just like that. There's something that goes on with the apple where this is dips down. And you can't really tell with this particular apple, but I'm going to do a couple of things that suggest it's going down by making these striations come out like that. So that says this is going down. And also this apple has a little bit of light to it. And I'm going to kind of outline an area like that where this is yellow and this is red. So I notice that there's a shadow on this side from the Clementine. And the Clementine has a shadow that's hitting against it. So actually, if I go like this, put this behind it, and kind of darken it, but lighten it out. Lighten it out, it kind of goes in the back like that. Which means if I'm lightening that out, I want to really show the edge so that it doesn't get lost in this shadow. And we can fix this later. Any things we need to fix, we can fix later. Okay, so now I'm back to the apple. And I'm going to follow the contours of the apple. Things like there's these sort of stripes that come out from the core, from the stem, and spread out like that. And just little lines like this describe the skin. Also at the very bottom, quite the shade. And I see that the apple hits here on the ground, and then it lifts up and falls into the bucket. And bucket's yellow, the apple's mostly red. So I'm gonna make this a darker area in here. And notice how I'm drawing with the contour of the apple. So when I come here, so everything is coming from the stem, because the details that are in the skin all come from here too. I'm making these little areas because these are modeled light areas, and I want to go around it. And you can be really arbitrary. I'm being kind of arbitrary with these modeling marks. I just want to suggest that it's not a pure red apple. It's got all these kind of different colors on it. But how do I describe that? The only way I can describe it is through tones and shape. So I'm going to go into these areas that I had avoided just to give a little bit of tone, and then I'll go around it because I want everything to be sort of muted. Not that important, just to show a little modeling, but not necessarily being so specific. Now, you might want to be specific, but the way I draw, I don't get into serious detail like that. I get into enough detail, in my opinion, but the beauty is you may want to do it a totally different way. I see little spots. I don't know, they're just spots. Spots and lines and things like that are in the apple. And then also I see this shadow. And remember, it's darkest towards the bottom because the light doesn't hit, especially when it's tapering, the light's hitting here. Okay. Okay. Here's my apple. Now, I am doing the shadow. First of all, I'm going to show a little line right here, because again, when an object hits the ground, there is no light here, there's no light here, there's no light here, so that's one of the darkest contrasted areas. And now I'm going to add the shadow on. So there's a shadow that's underneath. And I'm really going to outline this because it's kind of dark there. And the shadow kind of spreads out like that. Then this is sort of a metal. And I'm starting to see the rim. I'm going to follow that. And you don't have to show it too much, but those little details are kind of nice. I notice there's a shadow right where this bends, so I'm going to go like that. And there's also a shadow down here. Again, I'm going to strengthen this contrast right there. And this comes down. And there's all kinds of reflection going on that you can't really see on this bucket. I mean, you might be able to see it, but I have a window behind me and the light kind of changes a lot depending on when the sun's out and when the sun isn't out. So I'm just going to do little weird things that I do see in the bucket. Some areas seem a little darker, but I'm not going to get too descriptive. Basically, I'm kind of suggesting that there is a reflection, but you don't really know what it is exactly. And sometimes you don't have to. If you just follow the visual shapes that you see, it kind of does a job for you. Our brain says, oh, that's a reflection. Okay? There also is a little line, like right there and there. Okay. And also there is a deep shadow on the rim of the bucket. Not like that. Not like that. Now, instead of drawing this, I'm going to fill in the area with shadow and shading. But I noticed that right here is a shadow. That's a plant. Then on the other side, it's just kind of dark. I don't really see much of a shadow, just depths. So I'm going to take this and try to follow it and make this look more like the rim. Okay, and then I'm going to take a little line to kind of strengthen it right here. And then here, I'm going to kind of fake that rim a little bit. Like that and like that. And also sometimes you want to go, hey, make sure that these all meet up, because that's pretty important. Now I'm going to do the other side of the handle. And it has a shadow right here. And then right there's that rim of the handle coming out right here. And there's actually one on the bottom. I'm going to make this be a light tone because I want you to see the difference between the tone of describing the handle and the shadow. See, there's a shadow. Then there's a bit of a shadow from the rim of the handle. I'm going to bring that around. There's some light right here. There seems to be another type of shadow right in here. And then everything else seems to be sort of neutral. And I'm going to be just sort of light with it like that. I'm going to define this more. This straightens to here. I'm going to define this a little bit more. Okay. There also seems to be a little bit of a shadow going on in here. And let's push this shadow more so that it's clear it's a shadow. Okay. Now we are going to go to the leaves or the tongues. So we'll stick with this one first. And I'm going to put a little bit of shading in here. And I'm going to erase this. I'm going to erase all these little spots. Okay. And if I look at it again, it really does have a dark outline on the ridge of each leaf, because it's like dark green and light green. And I'm gonna start out with a light color like this and make everything sort of neutrally that color. Then I see that there's a little bit of shadow because it's kind of doing like that. So I sort of want to suggest that. So now I have that. Now I want to describe the leaf. The leaf has all these zebra-like horizontal lines that sometimes are close together and sometimes they aren't, and they're kind of, it's almost like your heart beating. And I'm gonna try to thicken up some areas are thicker than others. Okay? And then right in here, it's just a little darker as it comes down. Okay, I'm going to do the next one. This is lighter right here. So I'm going to put in some little ziggity, jaggedy things. And then right in here is a shadow because the leaf is turned. I'm also going to put a line here to show that this is in front of that. And now I'm going to shadow it up. And I'm going to follow it all the way up. And I'm going to put a little bit of shading in the middle. Because remember, this is a mother-in-law tongue. So it kind of looks like a tongue. Same with here. Okay. This, like I said, turns, then it becomes a shadow. And then it falls into the rest of the leaf. And again, like I described earlier, it's kind of outlined with the darkish green, which is kind of nice because it gives a little bit of, you know, the nice contrast. See how the contrast is forming? Contrast, light, dark, dark, light, everything. It's like color with a pencil. And I am going to do this lightly too. Not as light as in here. And then I'm going to make all those weird horizontal things that are going on in the plant. And see how loose I'm being? You don't have to be like, get everything right. Just give an idea of it. Notice that the gaps are all arbitrary. None of them are, it's not uniform. I'm going to really emphasize the middle shading again. I'm going to go over little areas if I felt like it was a little too scribbled, just to make it look more like it's supposed to be describing. This is in front of that, so I'm making that darker. There. Now let's go to this third one. It's cut off at the top. Again, it has, I notice that it has a bit of shadow like right in here. But you may not notice that if I take a photo of it. You may not see that. Because like I said, the light behind me outside is kind of changing a bit, so sometimes that changes the shadow. But what I can say is that as long as you have a shadow, that's all you need. I also noticed something, that this is too long. I'm looking at the negative space, and it probably should have ended like right there. Does that change anything? No. Does it matter? Not really. But I just saw it, I'm going to go for it. And that being the case, I'm also going to skinny it out a little bit. Okay. This comes out around, this comes out. There's a shadow right here on this. So I'm going to shade in there, shade it, shade it, shade it. Bring the shadow in here. Then everything else I'm going to keep light. I'll just go across it like that. And I'm going to start putting in all the little interesting things. Okay. All right. Now this 1, 2, 3. This one is behind this one. We're going to do this one first. And this one, and maybe because it's a new leaf, is darker than all of the other ones. So I'm going to do something where the dark lines are more filled in. And you just leave little light areas for the striation, like that. And then it starts to be a little different. Nice. Now, I didn't lighten this up. I didn't, I'm sorry, shade this in, so I'm going to shade it in. There's no order. I'm going to make this area a little darker. Because again, that seemed like a darker area. And it kind of goes. Oh, and I see that this is what it folds over. I'm going to show that somehow by making it a little darker in here. There. Now we're going to do the last one. And I noticed that there is a shadow right here. And that shadow is made by this. Into the line. I'm going to outline this because it's dark on the edges. And then I'm going to give it a light. I'm going to go across. There. Okay, there's our plant. Now let's go to the water tower, the cardboard water tower. Well, for one thing, from here, it has these little lines, and I'm not going to do exactly like what's right there. I'm not going to get caught up in that, but I'm going to try to at least have a similar description. Now you can if you want to, but I'm not going to. Notice how it's just like a flower. Everything comes from here and it comes out. All right. But in here, it's straight with slats. Again, you do not have to do that. You absolutely do not. And so don't feel an obligation. You could just fast forward wherever you wanted to. Okay, I'm going to show the darkness in here because again, there's no light there. So that's one of the deepest shadows. And then there is a little ridge right here. I'm going to kind of copy it like this. I'm not going to make it be, just going to make it look like that. And then behind it is a deep shadow. Like that. Okay. Now there's all these little slats. You want it to be parallel vertically to this. So I'm not going to do it everywhere. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to just do it here. But I want to keep the lines sort of the same in between. But when you go like this, you don't have to be so specific. So it just reads, oh, there's lines, you know, without okay, that's nice. Now we have like that. And with these slats, since they're a little bit more pronounced, I'm going to pronounce them as well. And then I'm going to give it just a little bit of shading, like that. And I'm following the contour that takes me to this little tip right here. There, that's super nice. Okay, then again, I'm going to do it down here. I'm going to show, I want to tell the viewer that this is round. And sometimes you have to add shading in areas that you don't normally really see, but just to get it across so that it reads volume. Sometimes it's nice to add shading in places that maybe you don't really see it, but like that. If you want to take these lines up, it's totally up to you. Sometimes by just doing kind of a dark area somewhere like that, it gives a little bit of description without getting too descriptive. Okay. Right. Now this has quite the shadow underneath the base. And I'm just gonna try to show the side of the base by fattening it up a little bit. This remains white because the light is hitting it. And then that just shows that there's a little bit of cardboard width there. And then this is the shadow behind it, and it is arched. There. Now I'm going to give a really even color, neutral, for the scaffolding, like that. And I'm going to erase this because actually all of it's made from, it was all cut out from the same piece of cardboard, so I kind of want it to look like it is, which means I might change the way I drew this. I might make it following the same angle, so it looks like it's all from the same piece. See how I can fix that? I just kind of go over it a little bit, but it's really hard to tell the difference, so of course I'm going to go back. So here's the finished drawing. I put in a shadow. I emphasized the shadows. I showed where the tablecloth falls from the stack of books that are underneath it. I show the shadow behind the plant. I try to describe the water tower. Let's see what you can do. Thank you.